Howdy, folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to the Doc Owen Show. This is Dr. Richard Owen, joined at the Hilltop Studios by...
I'm a surefire.
And...
Uncle Bocce.
Uncle Debauchee. Welcome to this week's edition of Fake News. We're glad to have you. We always remind folks that we are all over social media as Doc Owen Show. DOCOWENSHOW. You can find us on Facebook that way, like our page. That's my Twitter handle. That's a good way to follow, what we have, what we post, etc. We have a blog that is up and coming, docowenshow.com. And we have free apps where you can listen to all of the historical shows that we've done, the things in the past, for both iPhone and Android. So there's a whole lot of ways to find us, to get engaged on your own time frame. Not necessarily that you join us live on Thursday nights, although we are glad to have you. We're out there almost every night of the week on some channel somewhere, and we're always available on our apps. We start our show in a very traditional manner. Ms. Surefire gives us a bit of an inspirational quote. Uncle Bocce gives us this day in history, and then I do something on leadership, and then we dive into Uncle Bocce's brief, as we call it, which is 8 to 10 minutes of historical perspective on things in the world. So, Ms. Surefire, take it away.
And tonight's quote actually comes from pocketfuel.com. That's PKTfuel.com. And tonight's quote comes from the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verse 2. The banquet meal is ready to be served. Lamb roasted, wine poured out, table set with silver and flowers. Tables. What happens around yours? Tables see more life than we realize. Eating, writing, hobbies, etc. If the home is a body, the table is the heart, the beating center, the sustainer of life and health.
Whew, that is excellent.
That is
That was a good one.
That's the way that I grew up, just like that. The table was the heart of the family.
That's the way it should be.
That's the way it
That
should
is.
be.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's I was brought up that way too. I
Yeah.
started reading that. I was like, I
Yep.
get it.
I like
Awesome.
it. Uncle Bocce, what happened?
This day in history,
Yes.
in 1791,
Yeah.
the Bill of Rights became law.
Hoo-yah!
Yes, sir.
Which means we codified what God gave us.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
We put it into law.
If you haven't read it recently, read the Bill of Rights. Refresh yourself.
Yep. It's there. How many of them are there?
There are 10.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure.
10 amendments.
We still got the
First 10.
They haven't taken any out.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, with all
Hopefully never.
With all that's going on, I might have missed something. My quote tonight is from the Optimist Club, a little book that they've got out on optimistic quotes. This one leads off the chapter on attitudes, and it's from a fellow by the name of Earl Nightingale. And
I
it's
know him.
Gale, Nightingale. Our attitude towards life determines life's attitude towards us.
That's a good one, yeah.
All right?
Yep.
I believe that.
AKA smile at the world and the world will smile back at you.
There you go.
Right?
What you look for, that's what you attract,
There you go.
Yep.
Yep. We did a show about that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact. All right.
Law of attraction.
So
Connect the dots.
we've done our perfunctory stuff, and now let's do one more piece of perfunctory. Uncle Bocce, where are we on the history go-round?
Okay. We have been, 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Enlightenment and how that provided so much of the philosophical background of what was to become America. Then last time we met, we got into the Great Awakening, which kind of like brought into got the colonists really, really excited and got the religious or the spiritual aspect of what was to be our country. And the last thing that we talked about was about abolitionist Wesley.
John Wesley.
Yeah.
Right,
John
right.
Wesley and his brother.
Founder of the Methodist Church.
Right, exactly. And the quote that we read, the last one, and I want to repeat this again because it's important. He said, "Liberty is the right of every human creature as soon as he breathes the vital air, and no human law can deprive him of that right which he derives from nature's law, the law of nature."
Right. Saint cities.
Important, yes,
Right.
exactly. And
Right.
that fits right in with the Enlightenment.
Okay.
Okay? So tonight we'll talk a little bit more about some other American ministers. Not all of them were swept up into this age of reason or, the Great Awakening. In the 1730s, a religious revival swept through the British American colonies. One of the prominent figures besides Wesley was Jonathan Edwards. You might know that name. He was a Yale minister who refused to convert to the Church of England. He became concerned that New Englanders, watch this, were becoming far too concerned with worldly matters. How interesting.
And that caused
that
him
the
to-
most, one of the most religious spots in what was the 13 colonies, that they were the ones who first were moving away from spirituality. How about that? And look at them
So
today.
that's what caused
Look
him.
at them today.
That's what caused him to Yale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. Okay. It seemed to him that people found the pursuit of wealth to be more important than John Calvin's religious principles. Some were even beginning to suggest that predestination, we talked a little bit about that last week, was wrong and that good works might save a soul. So now we're faced with three different philosophies. We have the idea of introducing now the idea of working for your salvation. We had the idea of Calvinism, which was predestination. Only those who chosen by God will go to heaven. And then we have the free grace movement. Now, all of this had a real good impact on the colonists. So Edwards was very dynamic. He barked out from the pulpit against these notions. He said, I quote, "God was an angry judge and humans were sinners," he declared. He spoke with such fury and conviction that people just could not help but go and flock to him to listen to him. This sparked what became known as the Great Awakening. So the people were beginning to awaken to the reality of spiritual life. Now, another great man during the time was George Whitefield, and he was a minister from Britain. He toured America, or the colonies, that is. He was an actor by training. He would shout the word of God. He would weep with sorrow and tremble with passion as he delivered his sermons. Could you imagine being at one of those? Mm-hmm. The man was incredible.
Wow.
So the colonists, they flocked by the thousands to hear him speak. He converted slaves and even a few Native Americans. Even religious skeptic Benjamin Franklin emptied his coin purse after hearing him speak in Philadelphia.
Well,
Can you imagine that?
got to old Ben, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was impressed. Soon, much of America became divided, however. The Awakening or the New Light preachers set up their own schools, churches throughout the colonies. What another interesting phenomenon. Education is important.
Yeah, yeah.
And look at who it was in the forefront of setting up education. And that's the way it should be. Government schools don't work, folks. I'm sorry. They just don't work. Princeton University was one such school. Again, now we had Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. The three biggest Ivy League schools were all based in religion, in Christianity. Where are they today? Mm-hmm. The old light ministers, they refused to accept all this newfangled stuff. So despite the conflict, one surprising result was that greater religious toleration became prominent. People were accepting, even though there were more opinions, more different religions were coming in, there was more religious toleration. There were new denominations, and it was clear that no one religion would dominate any region. And that's important because, because that's the way it is in America, or at least it was in America, that they tolerated all different religions.
May I presume?
You may.
To point out that these were all various and sundry sects or denominations or whatever of the Christian faith.
Yes.
Correct?
Exactly. Exactly, yes.
100%.
100%. That's what it was.
Just kind of wanted to make that very clear.
Absolutely. Thank you.
About our founding as a Christian nation.
Yes, exactly.
That's true.
Now, the Great Awakening, in a way, was a reaction to the Enlightenment, but it was also a long-term cause of the revolution, and we'll see how that fits in. Now, before ministers represented an upper class, well, now that's changing. Awakening ministers were not always ordained. They breaking down the respect for betters, as they put it.
Do you know what correlates to that today?
Tell me. Tell our audience.
What is known as the Cowboy Church.
The Cowboy Church.
There are
rodeo?
No. It takes its name from the fact that they're out in the country. They don't necessarily have a church building. They certainly don't need to dress for church, as a lot of us were trained to do.
Yes.
And they came about just as the cowboys kind of gathered around under an oak tree and had prayers and broke bread and, generally thank God for what they did have. But in today's environment, there is a whole genre of churches out there called cowboy churches.
That's wonderful.
And they are outside, and their intent is to be outside of all of the current day organized religions.
Exactly. Just like it was in the Great Awakening. Right? That's the correlation. You got it.
Go.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so the new faiths emerge were much more democratic in their approach. The overall message was one of greater equality.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, the Great Awakening was also a national occurrence. It didn't just happen in one colony. It was throughout all of them. Just a couple more points and we can move on. It was the first major event that all the colonies could share.
The Awakening was.
Bring them together.
Oh, okay.
You
gotcha.
see what I'm saying? It was they shared this one thing together.
It was a unifying element.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. There was no such episode in England, further highlighting variances between Americans and their cousins across the sea. Remember, the colonies were exceptional. They were different. They weren't better than anybody else.
No, that's not what exceptional means. Being different doesn't mean better than.
Right. Exactly.
It means choosing a different way.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, talking about that topic of exceptionalism,
Right.
you can see the seeds of it here. What makes us so, unique. This wasn't happening in England. England, the nobility.
The exceptionalism came from our focus on liberty and
Yes.
God's rights.
And how we,
and that manifests itself in being different and being exception. We were the exception, literally.
Yes.
This may be where it came from. We were the exception to the rule. And
Bingo.
The rule is what we were trying to get out of, the tyranny.
Exactly.
See how it works out? I
Yeah.
wonder if that's
See,
where the
that's
phrase
what
came
I'm
from.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's just great. I just love the way these things all come together. It's amazing.
It is,
Absolutely
isn't
amazing. It is. It really is.
Okay.
Okay.
Who are you?
That's
What are you doing here?
well, this is Uncle Bocce. You can reach me at Uncle Bocce, UNCLEBACI, at DocOwenShow.com. Looking forward to hearing from you guys.
And Uncle Bocce's got a brand new Christmas T-shirt on tonight.
Yeah.
It shows his Uncle Bocce bow tie, and it said, what does it say on the front? Boccified.
Boccified.
Yay.
Bacified.
There you go.
Boccified. One more piece of pizza, and the Boccified got bigger.
No,
Yes, it did.
it's
I have
all
to get a
good.
larger T-shirt.
It's all good.
Okay.
Thank you, Uncle Bocce.
Thank you.
I want to play something for you guys, a couple of little sound clips, the first of which is something that we use on a very regular basis. As a matter of fact, weekly we have another show that we put out there called Saint Cities. Saint stands for Sanctuary Assembled in Nature's Tradition, and it's about sanctuary cities and illegal immigration. So, or actually immigration would be a better term for it. But one of the things that we play there is a rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance to the Flag, done by a gentleman by the name of Red Skelton. And for you Utes in the audience, you need to look up Red Skelton. He was a comedian and a variety show host, et cetera, et cetera. But
Great man.
Great man. And when you hear I want you to hear his version of the Pledge of Allegiance to the Flag. Take it away. And I think we've got.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
One of my favorites. It's out there on YouTube. I highly recommend that you download it, keep it for yourself, remind yourself about it, and please tell your friends about it. It's a very, very, very heartwarming, soulful, and intentional version of the Pledge of Allegiance to make you think about what you're saying and not just doing something from memory.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. Since it's the holiday season, and since you're listening to one of the better fake news shows on the airwaves, before we get into all of that monkey junk, this is probably the last time, maybe, that we will play this that came out right after the election, which apparently to half of the population isn't over yet. But we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Take it away.
Give my remarks to all of the Trump haters, all of the Hillary Clinton supporters, all of the people that said that my Trump was gonna lose. So I say to you this morning, the day after the election,
If that doesn't make you laugh, then you just don't have a funny bone in your body.
There you go. Yes, absolutely.
Hilarious. Okay. So I don't watch nor listen to nor pay any attention to whatsoever unless it's to make fun of it. The mainstream media and television and all of that jazz. But I am aware that there is a huge public relations campaign, a propaganda campaign, still out there and even growing somewhat in momentum, having to do with the fact that Trump's not going to be inaugurated. Trump's never going to take office. I mean, the first thing they came at was this recount, right?
Right.
And the net result of that recount was an increase in the votes for Trump.
That's correct.
All right. As well as discovery of multiple locations of substantial fraud,
That's what
Especially
I thought.
in Detroit.
So, yeah.
especially in Detroit.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. And so, guys, I mean, by the way, the name of tonight's show is Sit Down and Shut Up. Adults in Charge. All right. So that's kind of what the gist of tonight's going to be about. That's the way I feel about all of this. But the problem is they're very serious.
Yes.
They're not going to stop, and they're not. If he, God forbid, but if he, makes it, I fully expect him to be president of the United States. I think all this other is just, it's not nonsense, because some people take it very, very seriously. So the first thing was the voter recount. Well, that didn't work. So now what are they doing? They're going after the Electoral College, right?
That's correct.
All right, and they had to turn around how many votes in the Electoral College in order to keep Trump from having 270.
How many?
I was holding him 37. So they had to.
That's what I
had
thought it was, but I didn't understand your fingers.
well,
Okay.
like that. Anyway,
Okay.
so yes, I was giving out the answer, folks. So they had to get 37 people to turn, right? Well, they were having trouble doing that. So what happens? The Russians hacked us, according to the CIA, right? Are you following this?
I'm following it. Yes.
You know
go
the
ahead.
Russians hacked our electoral system in favor of Donald Trump. All the WikiLeaks that came out about Podesta and Hillary Clinton, the Russians did that and gave it to, although there is absolutely no proof of that whatsoever.
Okay.
But no proof of it whatsoever.
You
As a matter of
said
fact,
it.
proof
Okay.
to the contrary. And but the media and that dingbat that's in the White House right now, they've called for an investigation into the Russian hacking that didn't occur.
Of
All right?
course. It's a diversion. Go ahead.
Well, but it's more than a diversion. I mean, it. So now you've got all sorts of people saying, "Oh, well, our in tech." First of all, voting machines are not hooked to the freaking internet.
Yes.
There is no way from the internet to hack a voting machine.
Okay.
All right,
All right. Believe that.
that's from Dr. Owen, professor of cybersecurity.
Thank you.
Fact.
Right.
Now, they transmit those votes and stuff via the internet, sometimes from locations to headquarters, et cetera. So then the numbers could get changed if they wanted to get, but it's just so far-fetched, it's just crazy. What's the CIA known for?
Spies.
Yes, but beyond spies, what are they known for on a global basis? If you're thinking big global terminology, what's the CIA really good at, and when do you hear their name the most often?
It's a good question.
How would
From a globalist perspective.
From a globalist perspective, I would submit to you, it's in overthrowing governments and putting in United States favored dictators
Seriously.
through propaganda.
Really?
That's what they do. That's what they do for a
I've
living.
never studied the CIA, so
That's interesting.
Truman, they were formed right after World War II, and they regretted forming them, and that's what they've been doing ever since, is using propaganda and false information to overthrow governments that were not friendly to the United States. That's who they are. Everybody knows it. They're doing
Okay.
it now. They're doing it here. Now they're putting out false information and propaganda in the United States because there's a large faction apparently that don't like the results of the election. Okay, FBI Director Comey and National Intelligence Director have both come out and said it is bull sugar. That what the CIA is putting out there is nonsense. There's no proof of it whatsoever.
right.
And the CIA has not claimed that they have proof. Even they have said, we think that this is going on.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know how they came to that logic? This will get you. How'd they come to that logic? That the Russians tapped into the elections and tilted it in favor of Trump.
I thought it was you that told them.
No.
No.
Although I am a Putin puppet. I'm a member of the fake news. So this show is completely sponsored by the Russian government. Yes.
Okay.
I forgot the question. What was the question? Don't do
How
that.
they knew that Russia was
Oh,
part of
how the CIA came to that conclusion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because the only information that was leaked was on the Democrats. So
That's
since they
right.
didn't leak anything on the Republicans, it had to be Russia trying to tilt it towards the Republicans.
Okay.
Is
Well,
the only
see,
leak-
that all comes together in a globalist sense, doesn't it?
Shoot. Yeah. I was
They're
like,
not
what?
cases. Okay, you would
Wow.
think that the electoral, but see, all of this was done because they weren't getting enough steam going in the electoral college, right? I mean, we've even got one guy in Texas that's not going that was supposed to vote for Trump that has said he is not. Okay.
Yes.
Now that
heard
the
about
Russian interference has come out, these people in these electors are refusing to vote until they get a security briefing on the Russian hacking. Do you know who's leading that charge? This will get you.
I don't know the person who's leading it.
You don't? From among, don't do that. From the electors.
Go ahead.
From the electors, what's the last name of the person that's leading the charge to make sure that they get a security brief before they will cast their vote?
The Big O?
Nope.
Not him, huh?
Nope. Pretty close, though. Who's famous for we have to pass the law before we can read it?
Nancy Pelosi?
Her daughter.
Her daughter?
Yeah.
Wow.
Her
She
daughter.
reproduced?
Oh, my God.
Oh my God.
Nancy
Yep.
Pelosi
Oh.
makes me hate that I'm
Her
Italian.
daughter is leading the electoral college charge to take it away from Trump.
Delusional.
All right. Well, they had to have 37. We thought that was a long shot. And the last piece of information I have right here on my desk says they're at 15, so all they need is 22. That was printed 3 days ago. They now have 20, supposedly, that are willing to not vote for Trump in the Electoral College. So that's what the propaganda about the Russian hacking is supposed to do, is to make these electors think twice about giving it to Trump. Okay? So, carry it forward. Keep going forward. What happens now? The Electoral College is supposed to vote this coming Monday. I believe that's the 19th.
Yes.
That's what to say. That's a day, right? Yep. Mhm.
Right. That's the day they
Yep.
vote.
19th, yes.
All right. So let's say that that Donald Trump doesn't win the Electoral College.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Where am I going? What happens?
No, I
next?
don't want to take your thunder.
No,
I
that's
know
fine.
where you're going.
Good. Where am I going? Tell the audience.
You're the whole point of this, after the story is told, is that there is no point in doing it. Because if the Electoral College does bring him down, and neither one of them have enough, what happens? It goes to the House.
The House of Rep. That's right.
And who is control of the House? The Republicans.
Wow.
The vice president is elected by the Senate. Who owns the Senate? The Republicans. So what is it? What is all of this about? It's
Well-
about nothing.
Think about what you're saying.
Okay, I'm thinking.
Are the vice presidents in the House friendly with Trump?
The vice
Are
presidents?
are the members of the House? I said the vice presidents. My bad. Are the members of the House of Representatives, the leadership in the House in particular, are they friendly with Trump? Are they Trump backers? Will they protect Donald Trump?
Well, it's a good question. Yeah, there could be some area of doubt there, but I don't think they're quite that stupid.
Don't underestimate the desire of the globalist to maintain control.
They're part of the
Donald
establishment.
Trump
right?
is a major threat. If not, your Speaker of the House and your Senate Majority Leader in the Senate would not have chimed in and said, yes, we need to investigate the Russian hacking.
It's like, when did that go?
Interesting.
Don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's getting real obvious to me. There is a conspiracy going on.
Okay.
I mean, this is more than a conspiracy. I mean, it's not a theory. This is more than a theory. There is a conspiracy going on. There is a conspiracy to keep Donald Trump from becoming the duly elected president of the United States. It adds up. These things are not one-off, non-connected dots.
So if it all works in their direction, what are they going to do? Put Hillary in?
Well, they can, in effect, they can put anybody in, but they don't care. They can either put Hillary in, or if that's too much of a pushback, they'll put Paul Ryan in.
Actually, yes. I was just going to say that. Actually, they have the power. Once the electoral college is gone, I mean, not gone, but
once it's a moot point at the electoral college, then
they can put anybody they want in, right?
Bingo.
Anybody they want.
In order to keep peace in America.
Wow.
I can hear them.
You hear that, people? Start writing. Write
There's a lot out there.
Write your
So let's talk
representative.
about. No, don't even bother.
Call them.
No, don't even bother.
Do something.
Pray.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Pray,
one.
listen
Yeah.
to fake news, tell people about it. And when I say fake news, if you're not that's what all of us, and by the way, there's a list of 200, there's a website out there called Prop or Not. PROPORNOT. Okay? propornot.com. And the objective of that website, there is a list of 200 fake news websites, and the prop stands for propaganda or not. And these websites are disseminating nothing but Russian propaganda. All right? You are supposed to steer clear of them. They are owned and operated by Russian operatives. That's what we're told. Websites like InfoWars, like Breitbart.com, like, what are some of the other popular conservative websites? Like Mark Levin, like, you name it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm upset that the Doc Owen show wasn't on the list, but I guess once they knock off
We
these
didn't
top
make
two,
it.
we did not make the list.
Oh my gosh.
The
get
networks,
out.
the networks that we're on made the list.
Oh, okay. Ooh, I feel a little bit better now.
So
There you
Yeah.
go.
But so we're all fake. We're all liars.
Who started
No-
that?
no-
The idea, the concept of fake news. I don't.
The
maybe
mainstream
you don't know.
media.
Huh?
The mainstream media.
It came out of the mainstream media.
Yeah, they copied a page out of the Chinese. The Chinese did it years ago to shut down all of the independent news in their country.
Really?
Yes. So they copied a page from the Chinese, but it all started with the independent
Copycatters.
media. And then they tied in this fake news routine to the Russian hacking to say that we're all owned and operated by the Russian government. We're Russian propaganda machines. Right? It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, apparently it is.
So hold on a sec. So I mean, there's. So we got to now we've gotten electoral college and we've thrown it to the House of Representatives. Ask yourself, how many of you are going to watch the inauguration of Donald Trump? How many of you are planning to watch Trump's inauguration, which is January the 20th?
20th, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you planning to watch it?
Well, I want to see the speech at least, if nothing else, or listen to the speech.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Where are you going to watch it? These are also questions for the audience. Where you need to make plans. I think you need to make the same sort of plans you would make to go to the Super Bowl, to do a Super Bowl watch party, or anything else. This particular inauguration
That's on a Friday.
could and should be huge. And there's a lot of background noise around the inauguration. There are a lot of people calling for violence.
Yeah.
Serious
sure.
people with serious money calling for, if nothing else works, if the electoral college, the voter recount didn't work, the electoral college is probably not going to work. All right. But so then they've got between the 19th and the 20th, they got 30 days to foment a serious amount of angry people. And go ahead.
You know, this is so sad because you know what this reminds me of? Of someone like myself, almost living in a third world country.
Yep.
Because that's what they do.
Yep.
And that's a shame.
Well,
Because we're supposed to be the greatest, country in the world.
and I'm trying to help all of us, the audience, to step back and see exactly what you just saw.
It's true. I mean, that's pathetic.
If you watch mainstream media, if you listen to what's going on around here, if you lived outside of America, you would totally be shaking your head in disbelief. That's why I titled the show "Sit Down and Shut Up." Adults in charge.
Yeah, I know.
I
See
know-
those crying babies on the streets.
I know that the liberals are upset. I know that the Democrats are upset. I know that the progressives are upset. I know the globalists are upset. The whole world, it's melting down, right? 50 to 100 years worth of effort Trump is subject to take away.
Yeah. The thing is, though, I mean, isn't Trump considered somewhat of a globalist? And look who he picked for Secretary of State.
Do you know who that guy is?
Yeah, I know. ExxonMobil.
Yeah. Do you know that ExxonMobil has a larger budget than the country of Saudi Arabia?
I believe it. Yeah, it's the
He used
largest
to be
company in
Saudi
the world.
Arabia.
He's a deal maker. I think it's great. Are you suspicious of who he picked?
I am suspicious of who he picked only because of his relationship to Putin.
Who says we're not supposed to get along with the Russians? Where did that come from?
Didn't Reagan have a relationship with
Of course
Russia,
he did.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he defined them. He defined who they were.
Yeah.
I don't go for this hey, let's shake hands and be friends with Putin kind of thing.
No.
Or Russia. No, I'm sorry.
There's a difference, Bocce, in shaking hands and being friends and in shaking hands and making a deal. I think that's where Trump and this Tillerman are coming from. You can shake hands and make a business deal and never be friends with somebody, but you can agree to do business and you can agree to do things that are in both of your self-interest. All right. I'm not ever going to be your friend. I don't want to date your sister. Okay? But let's do a deal.
Yeah.
We both, here's things
I think
in
a
the
lot of
world that
people-
we need to work together on.
I think a lot of people equate business transactions with friendships, and that's not always the case. Because I even remind my mother of that sometimes. And I said, "That's how you get burned."
Well, I was just about to say,
That's
when
how you
friendship
do it.
when friendship
Yeah.
tends to leak into business transactions, it messes them both up.
Yep.
So
That's true.
I don't have a problem with, and that's what Trump said. He's a deal maker. He's a businessman. He and Tillerman are both businessmen. I'll tell you what I do like. Let's go back to the conspiracy, the challenges with Trump. If you are Donald Trump and you know and you see and you're paying attention to all of this going on around you, what would you have a tendency to surround yourself with as an intelligent man? Military. If I were going into the presidency right now, I would want to make dad burn sure that the United States military was on my side. Right?
Right.
He has put three retired kick-ass generals who already have a name in the public.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
That Mattis?
Yeah. Mad Dog Mattis.
I like that.
So we got three of them in there now.
That's right.
That have that kind of a reputation.
Great.
That are sitting right around Mr. Trump. Secretary of Defense.
That's good.
I mean, that's very good.
Yeah.
We need
Now
that.
the other side is going to say it's a sign he's going Nazi and
Oh, sure,
yada. He's going to control and he's going to do this and he's going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I believe he's smart enough to recognize the intelligence and the benefit of having retired military professionals on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Those are the kind of people that don't realize what oath the military takes when they go into their role.
The kind that talks them down.
No,
I don't understand what
that role that they. I
oath
can't
that
do
they
it.
uphold.
I can't say it verbatim, but it
Well,
boils down to protecting the
protecting our
country,
The oath.
foreign and domestic.
It's to protect and honor the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
There you go.
Is the oath.
So it's the people that talk
It's the
like
same
that
oath.
don't know that.
Yeah, same oath that the president takes, the Congress takes. They all take the same oath, but
Anybody that's ever been in the
to them,
military
it's nothing but a bunch of words.
No, they don't.
They don't mean it.
They don't believe in oaths.
No, not them.
No.
No.
No, it's just part of the rigor. So to kind of review a little bit. I mean, we've got all this nastiness going on. I left off with the fact that you should be making plans to watch this inauguration.
Yeah.
Either at work, take off of work. I think
that'd be a party on the river. Let's go.
I think it's going to be a big deal, even with all of the intrigue behind it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes off smoothly, which I hope that it will, and I pray that it will, then I guess we can all breathe a sigh of relief and try to figure out what's next, because they're not going to stop. They're going to this opposition to Donald Trump is going to make the opposition to George W. Bush look like a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of his presidency. I think that Mr. Trump is far more suited to it than George W. Bush was. I think it caught Bush by surprise, and his temperament, as we well know, is completely different from Mr. Trump's temperament. Trump won't stand for it. He's already not standing for it. He immediately called all that crap about the Russian news as fake,
Yeah.
as nonsense.
Right.
And, I think he has his sources to know that.
Of course he does. He's not just talking off the top of his head. He knows.
Right.
They're,
I mean, he didn't-
his advisors are doing good.
Absolutely. I mean, he called a lot of very true shots during the campaign, all the way down. Okay, so that's where we stand right now with all of that. I got some... Uncle Bocce, what else should we talk about? We talked about the list. We talked about the hacking. Oh, I got somebody that everybody needs to start reading. In the course of by the way, from time to time when I'm in meetings and out there, people will always ask us for a list of our sources. Where we go and what to read and everything. Which is pretty cool. That's nice. And let me tell you where to go to get a list of our sources. propornot.com. It's been put out by the opposition. everybody that I've been quoting for years and reading is on that list.
They made it very convenient.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now, the folks that want the list, it's out there for them. But one of the fellows that I found on the list that I had not been reading that you should read is a fellow by the name of Paul Craig Roberts. Paul
Paul Craig Roberts.
CraigRoberts, just like it sounds, paulcraigroberts.org, O-R-G. And he has, this guy he's got some huge credentials, both in the media as well as in politics, been around a while, and he wrote an article about the conspiracy to shut down Truth, Donald Trump, and the American people. And so, but he says he says things in such a succinct manner that I think it's a real good idea to sign up for his blog and read his blog.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you for passing that on. That's great.
I need to take a sip of water. You guys feel some dead air.
Yeah, we'll fill some dead air.
Say Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Merry Christmas.
That's right.
That is, it's creeping up, isn't it? Wow.
I can't believe it, but yes, almost
No, not
here.
even a. Yeah.
A week
That's
from
a little
Sunday.
over a week. It's a week from Sunday.
A week from
Right.
Sunday.
Wow.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, so next week we will be on the air. My loyal listeners may have noticed that we were not on the air last week. That was the first show in 3.5 years that I have ever missed. I just flat was not feeling well. I had a sinus infection. I couldn't talk. I couldn't breathe. We just flat could not pull it off.
It was like Mayday, Mayday,
Yeah.
Mayday.
So my apologies. That's one of the reasons that I'm still kind of a little bit in recovery tonight, but we're getting there.
We're nursing him back to health.
Drinking plenty of water. Excuse me. Which is my stock in Shiner Bach has gone down substantially since I started this new regimen.
They reduced their operating hours. Yes. That's true.
I believe it.
So, but anyway, my apologies for missing last week, but I also when I numbered this week's show, which is Y4, that stands for Y4.14. It so happens that last week's show was number 13, which has always been a bugaboo to me. So I thought it was kind of interesting that I got to skip number 13 this year. But anyway, we will be on the air next week. We expect to have 2 shows, our Saint City show on Tuesday, and hopefully, probably, and definitely Doc Owen show on Thursday. So,
that one for sure.
yep.
Yeah.
We look forward to having you. Tell your friends. And, keep us in mind. Spread the word. We're all over social media. Best way to find us is tell them to go look up Doc Owen Show. DOCOWENSHOW.
That's true. I do a search, just to kind of see what's going on with your name, and it is everywhere.
It is?
It's like at least 2 or 3 pages.
Woo! Sweet.
You're just like all over.
It's not me. It's us. It's the Doc Owen Show.
Yeah.
It's named
well,
that for a reason. I know what you meant. But I want the audience to know that.
Yeah. Well, you just told him.
Okay. And with a little bit of luck, it'll stay that way. It won't become the Uncle Bocce Show and others.
Never.
Front row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.